Let me guess, you saw Wolfpack on the Steam page whilst you and your mates were looking for a new fun co-op game to play without doing the prior light reading of Engineering Mechanics by Val Ivanoff, only to find yourself in the conning tower without a singular clue on what the fuck is going on. Well, not to worry, because this cunt's got your back. In the calendar year I played this game, there's only two rules you must live, learn, and love. The first one is the A principle, and the second, you do as the approximation guides. The A principle is a very simple principle in the fact that the ship is not 150 metres long, it is yay long. The mast isn't 28 metres high, it's yay high. And the second principle is to do as the approximation guides. Not at any point during this game will you ever actually get a complete on-point definition of speed, distance, ship size, whatever. You just won't, it's impossible. During this tutorial I will go over estimation and the firing of torpedoes. I am using bots to make the strain of diving and whatnot easier, as I simply cannot be fucked doing so. Take notes, as here's where the fuckery begins. Once you have located your target, the first step is to do a glance estimation of what the vessel is. For this particular scrawny fuck, it's a heavy tanker type 12 due to its MMF, mast funnel makeup. Hit C to bring up the vehicle templates and whatnot to help you identify the vessels. The second step is to calculate its speed, due to it being the easiest to calculate. Align the y-axis of the crosshair to the front of the vessel and hit F1 to begin a stopwatch. Once the vessel is passed, hit F1 again to stop it and bust out the ship's identifier to look for the length of the vehicle. This one is 150 metres long. Divide the length by the time in seconds to get its speed in metres a second. 150 divided by 57 equals 2.63. So the ship is currently going 2.63 metres a second. Now we must times the answer by 1.94 to get the answer in knots, which should equal around 5.1 knots. Now that we have the speed, we can calculate the distance. This is easy, yet it can be severely inaccurate. To begin, take the mast height from the vehicle identifier, in this case 28, and align the x-axis of the periscope with the ship's waterline, and count how many seteradians, or whatever the fuck these small dot things are, and take note. In this particular answer, it's about 4, and the mast height is 28. Objectively, the mast wasn't exactly on 4, but more in between 3 and 4 at around 3.5 seteradians. Minus the 28 hectometers from the 37 to get 9.3, then divide the 9.3 by 2 to get around 4.6 estimated, and then minus the 4.6 from the 37.4 to get around 32.7. Using our big brains, we simply move the decimal point to the left to get the approximate distance in kilometers. Grab the bearing from the U-boat or north, whatever really floats your boat, and then using the distance, speed, and bearing that we've just calculated, we can now borderlinely accurate mark the position of the vessel or the target on the map. I went a bit further in this demonstration mainly because I was giving my calculations the benefit of the doubt while looking at the target, but as you'll see when I double check the answers, I could never have been more than wrong. Once you've waited a few seconds, or minutes, typically, depending on how fast the vessel moves, do a slight recalculation of the bearing and the distance to get an approximation of its current course. Once you've nabbed the new bearing and distance, mark it on the map so we can kind of visualize or seem to get a bit of a better understanding of what the ship's current course is. We know from looking through the periscope that it was heading on the right hand side of the ship from the left side of the periscope to the right, meaning it was moving from north to south. Now it's time to calculate the angle on bow. This is the most painful one to do as you can't estimate it without the current course it's on. Now, I know there are some smart cookies out there who can just look at it and be like, yes, it's 90 degrees to the left or 90 degrees to the right, whatever, but it's very finicky, and there's a lot of issues with doing this. The first step is to make note of whether the ship's on the left-hand side or the right-hand side of the vessel. If the ship is on the left-hand side of the vessel, moving left to right from the periscope, so south to north, you place the protractor forward and then guesstimate the angle from the U-boat. If the vessel is moving right to left on the left-hand side, you place the protractor backwards and then minus the angle you get to the U-boat from 180. I will place up a bit of a table to show you how this works. So we know in this instance the ship is on the right hand side of the U-boat, moving left to right, so we place the protractor forward, which gives us around 105 degrees from the U-boat itself. So on the TDC we would say it's about 105 degrees right. Now we've got all our bearings and variables that we can plug into the TDC, it is now time to prepare firing. Switch the angle tracking to AP, which stands for attack periscope, which change which direction the torpedoes will curve to after they've been fired. I'd like to set the torpedo depth to about 2, does decent damage, and then we get the length of the chip, we get the speed, which we've all calculated, and then as we include this, you can type it in using the keyboard, but I was just clicking so I can add more time. So when I do the voiceover in the recording, I can stall. So we got 5.1 knots, 150 degrees length. The distance in hectometers is now about 3.6 considering its current course. I accidentally hit it to about 4 because I understand at the time it takes the torpedo to move. Either the ship would have eventually moved further down. Doing just a quick double check of all my calculations and whatnot. Now when it comes to the angle of bow, I can see the vessel has changed itself to about 130, maybe 140-ish to the right. Once I've just double checked my assumations, I am ready to fire. If you look at the time to impact, it's around roughly 4 minutes. So when I exit the TDC and prepare to fire, I will start a top watch, just so I can guesstimate, to see how long it's going to be till I hit it. Now while the torpedo is moving, it's time for me to just double check my answers really quick. So as you can see already, the course we laid is severely inaccurate by about a few degrees, which means the angle of bow will be off by a slight amount. But as you can see, the type of the ship, the speed it's going at, is pretty much all correct. The distance, even if I was to lay the current course I had backwards, I'd say we'd roughly be within 200 to 100 meters of accuracy with it. And all this stuff comes down to just, double checking and making sure that everything you've got is right. I will show further examples of other times I've done this, and as I've said, practice does indeed make perfect. I mean, this is one of the most funnest, most painful games on the planet, and I actually quite enjoy doing some light reading of advanced mechanics while playing a game, and there are easier ways to play it, just like simply bum rushing them, making sure all the TDC is just aiming that the torpedoes going forward. Wait till the destroyer bum rushes you and just fire like 3 of them. I guarantee you at least 1 will hit. So, it's up to how you guys want to play. This is just a rough demonstration, as I said before. The yay effect and the approximation principle will counteract this heavily. I hope you find this tutorial quite tutorial. And, you enjoy it. So thank you guys for watching.